Leadership comes in many shapes and sizes. However, it's the leadership that allows for all to be heard that makes the greatest positive impact. And in this episode, the answer to the question that was asked of many, what does freedom mean to you, will be shared. And then we're going to do a leadership meditation to uncover what leadership actually means to you. Hello, Cheri Ruskus here, and I want to take you on a little journey today about being mindful about your leadership. Leadership, can I say that properly? To be mindful about your leadership. We're going to talk about that bright, shiny object that we all have probably different opinions about and what's good and what's bad and all that. And that's why I recently asked the readers of my victory letter to share their answer to the question, what does freedom mean to you? And for myself, as an American citizen, with so many negative thoughts coming at us lately, well, it's been coming at us for a while, I guess, whether from the media or politicians, it's this swirling when there's a lot of really good leaders around. And each of us are actually a leader. And it's really freedom is the basis in that, right? We have the leader, we have the freedom to care about the leaders that we do and do the things. And, our politicians have been fighting like cats and dogs. And it's just, it's time that I think we all pay more attention to this. And it's really a quest I'm on to build better leadership. And again, what I loved about asking this question is how much energy it generated. Now, I will ask questions from time to time in my victory letter. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I do send out the victory letter every Monday morning, a little piece of inspiration that I send out via email and I've been doing it for the last 22 years. I started doing it just to something positive every Monday morning. I was going through a rough time at the time that I did it. It was right around 9/11. There's just a lot of things going on. And I just wanted to remember every Monday morning, the positives from the world, like the little victories. We're always looking for the big victories, but remembering the little victories as well. So I asked in the victory letter that question, what does freedom mean to you? And I was just blown away by the responses. And I picked the best of the best because we only have so much time to do this. And so I want to thank everyone for participating. I'm going to share by first name only those who did share. And I had to condense those, some of them a little bit. Some are a little longer than others, but yeah, so I just wanted to be able to get through this in a reasonable amount of time. So are you ready? To hear what freedom means to other people. And I would love for, even to make comments on the podcast. If this inspires something in you, I would love that. You can also email me, Cheri@businessvictories.com, and share, the answer to the question, because I love the answers to this question. It just gives me more energy to hear it all. All right. So Linda said, freedom is the ability to think and live our own truth, whether it is religious, political, sexual preference, educational, personal interests, decisions regarding our bodies, anything really, as long as no harm is done to the rights of others. And what really impressed me with Linda's response is that she was one of the first ones to come in, and it was like immediate. I had sent the letter out and it came back right away. So Linda, kudos to you. All right. So then Deb said, my response might surprise you. Freedom means monitoring what is happening in our country surrounding AI. And this came out right around the time that AI was, and it still is kind of buzzing right now. Not kind of, it is still buzzing. But there was a 60 minutes she mentioned in her comment here about a 60-minute program that had talked about it. And all of that. So she goes on to say, what freedoms do we have when AI controls what we write, how we think, and much more? And it was Deb's response that actually the following victory letter, I talked about AI and natural intelligence versus Yeah, artificial intelligence. So thanks, Deb, for that. Andrea said, for me, freedom means full consciousness of ourselves. I love that. And our meditation is going to help with that. To know who we are and assuming the consequences and responsibility of every choice. We are always creating the reality for our lives and affecting the ones that surround us so that we can say we are living in freedom and plenty free will. I love it. Diane said, to me, freedom means flexibility and choices I can make without the negative judgments from others who believe there is only one right way of being and doing. Amen to that, Diane. I mean, I think that's something we're all a little tired of people thinking their way is the only way. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Sally said, sadly, no one can guarantee some of the various freedoms that people wish for. Freedom from fear, hunger, bullying, etc. Those are hopes and wishes, but people need to be alert to helping themselves, helping others, and encouraging institutions, government, schools, charities to assist in improving conditions. When I read about horrendous murders, tortures, and jailings by oppressive governments, I am especially appreciative that we have freedom of religion, speech, and the ability to congregate, etc. And Sally also shared a great quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., which, and I didn't even know this, that he was a Supreme Court justice that she shared in her note to me. So that was educational. But his quote was, the right to swing my fist ends where the other man's nose begins. I'm going to say that again. The right to swing my fist ends where the other man's nose begins. Beautiful, beautiful words. And that, of course, was quite some time ago that he quoted that. Carl said, I am free in all caps, I might note, when I can express my thoughts openly in my books and articles, that I can worship my way is also in caps, without restrictions, that I can hug and love my family members every day, and that I feel safe when I attend an event. Joseph said, freedom happens to be my life's purpose. I am driven to help people be free of addictions, free from limited thinking, and free from debt, free from and happiness. He even shared that he keeps the word freedom on a white stone up on his altar and looks at it every morning. Ed said, and there's a couple of Eds. One of them is my husband, Ed, but I'm not going to say which one is which because, yeah, I'm not giving away anybody's identity here, but there's two Eds that shared in this. So the first Ed said, freedom means being able to live without fear of bodily harm or harassment. It is the lack of interference in personal health and family planning decisions. It is also the freedom to worship or not, to read and learn whatever we please, to easily vote peacefully, to protest and or support the people and issues we feel strongly about. Freedom is about being able to rely on a shared foundation of basic truths and morality while being respectful of differing opinions. He also went on to say that freedom is the absence of interference in journalism and the press, plus the responsibility of the press to pursue the truth without outside pressure or favor. Freedom is the pursuit of justice, also without fear, favor, or prejudice. In short, freedom is the relentless pursuit of democratic principles and the striving to better our world for all its inhabitants. Amen to that, Ed. Amen. JP said, she started off talking about thoughts of boldness, and I'll share with you during this victory letter. I always start the victory letter off with a quote, and I had started this one asking about the freedom question. I started off with a quote from Robert Frost that is and was freedom lies in being bold. And so that was kind of a theme that was going on. So she said, you can be bold and live within a monarchy like we see with King Charles, but freedom is choice. And Frost, again, Robert Frost, was wise in recognizing the boldness of choice and the direction of freedom. Just thinking. Now, and I'm not sure if JP put down that she was just thinking that, or that just thinking is freedom, which I love that idea, because just the ability to think our own thoughts is that. So JP, if you hear this and you want to confirm that, please do that with me. But I love the idea of just thinking is freedom. And then the other Ed said, financial security is freedom to me, freedom from worry, the ability to focus on other things and relationships, freedom to sleep at night, freedom to see your loved ones and to enjoy the visits without thinking about everything you spend will take away from home. Freedom to do things at home that you've been wanting to do, freedom to travel a bit. The sunshine feels warmer, and the love I have for my friends and family flows out easier. And finally, the freedom to just live. I love it. And again, I'm just so grateful for all the responses that we got to this question, and just having people be able to speak their truth about how they feel about all of this. And I will tell you that for me, freedom is the ability to share these kind of thoughts and ideas, to come onto this podcast, to write the things that I write in my victory letter every week, to have been an entrepreneur all these years and a business founder, and that I've been able to do that most of my adult life. I tried working in the corporate world. I tried working even in smaller businesses. I worked for a couple of big corporations and then for smaller businesses, and I didn't feel freedom. I didn't feel freedom at all. I always usually got fired or laid off or something like that. And it's because I like to speak my mind, and a lot of people didn't like that. So it's speaking my mind. I love that part. And then another great quote that was shared through all these shares that went on was from a Cesar Chavez, who said this, and I love this. We must understand. Actually, somebody shared a picture of a sign. I don't know where the sign was at. It was on a city street somewhere. We must understand that the greatest form of freedom carries with it the greatest measure of discipline. And I love that. Okay. So now I'd like to turn the tide here. I'm going to have a sip of water here before I do that. And we're going to change gears. Let the water go down. Okay. And not totally, because we're still talking about leadership, but I want to share this leadership meditation with you. And this is a meditation that I have shared in boardrooms, classrooms, at a variety of different retreat settings. And it just really asks you to stop and get into your mind. That's what meditation does, right? It lets us get into our mind about the authenticity of the leadership and influence that you bring into the world. And again, we all bring it in one form or another, whether it's in parenting, whether it's just leading ourselves. There's just a lot of abilities that we have in our leadership. So I want you to keep that in mind. So I'm going to ask you to get into a quiet place if possible. I know that many of you listen to podcasts while you're driving. I know I listen to podcasts a lot when I'm gardening. But whatever you can do to get to calm down yourself. So we're going to do a little bit of breathing exercises here together very quickly, but because we want to keep this moving along. But I ask you just to help get calm. And let's do this meditation. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're just going to take those deep breaths, right? Breathing is a beautiful thing. And anytime you get tense or uptight, there's just something about taking an intentional breath, because we're breathing constantly, right? But sometimes it's short and we're just not thinking about it. But we're going to take some intentional breaths. And again, if you can, close your eyes, get into a good space and just take a deep breath. Maybe roll your shoulders back a little bit or get your body into a place that's comfortable. You might have been just sitting in a position that's not comfortable. Just get comfortable. And let's take a deep breath. And another deep breath. And let's bring our imagination to life. And here's what I want you to think about. You're about to go on vacation. It's true. You're about to go on vacation and you've got that adrenaline. You know, that adrenaline that gets you going. It's going through your veins right before you go on vacation. It's kind of a little bit of anxiety mixed with, will I get all this done before I leave and not? But you've got just one more thing to do. You've packed, you've done everything on your list. You've just got one more thing to do before you leave. You're going to speak to a group of people, and it's not just any people. So don't get all anxiety that you're getting up and speaking in front of a group of people, because it's not just any people, but it's the people who are the people that you lead. They might have been your best customer along the way. They might be a member of your community, employees, maybe a student or a colleague, or some others that in some way you provided leadership to them. Leadership that made a profound difference in their lives. You made a difference by making their lives so much better, richer, fuller by the work that you do and by the leadership that you have provided along the way. So I want you to imagine that you're standing outside this big, beautiful door, both excited to be going on vacation, but even more excited to have this opportunity to first share this talk that you've carefully prepared for this special group of people that makes such a big difference in your life, by allowing you to make a difference in their life. That, after all, is the real essence of leadership. And they are just on the other side of the door. What does the door look like? Does it have a color, a particular wood grain? Just really pause and let your imagination create this beautiful door in front of you. And then as you take your hand to open the door, notice that doorknob. What does it look like? Is it silver or gold, flat or round, ornate or simple? How does it feel in your hand? What's that feeling in your hand as you turn it, knowing that in just seconds, you're going to be in the room with your peeps? But before you open the door, you're struck by a thought. And this is a thought of all the people in your life that through their leadership helped you to be the leader that you are today. Perhaps it was a parent or a grandparent or other relative, a godparent, someone who really made a difference. Perhaps it was a mentor who believed and guided you along your way. Perhaps it was a teacher, a friend, or another colleague. Perhaps they are still living, and perhaps they've actually said can I say this word? Eternal goodbye. But what you do know is the positive imprint that they left on your life will never go away. And then with a brief mental acknowledgement and gratitude towards their leadership for making you the leader you are today, go ahead and open that door and walk into the room with your biggest and most authentic smile. Go ahead. The people are waiting, and they've been waiting for you. As you enter the room, you start to see their faces, one by one, sitting there at a very large table. In fact, it's a table bigger than you thought could even possibly be inside this room. The table just seems to go on and on with so many faces smiling back at you. And the room itself is magnificent with these just tall windows that overlook our beautiful Rocky Mountains. And there they are, the people you lead, and they are applauding you as you walk into the room, standing up to welcome you as you move towards your spot at the head of the table. I want you to take the time as you head to your place at the table to look at each person there. Look at them in the eye and share smiles with them. Share the knowing that you are meant to be here with them in this moment. Remember at this point why it is that they follow you. What do you literally bring to the table that is uniquely you? What void do you fill for them? Perhaps some you have known for a very long time, and some you just met very recently. And no matter how long you've known them, they all feel equally drawn to be in this room today with you and with each other because of you. They are eagerly waiting to hear what you have to say. And as you get to your place at the head of the table, you ask them all to please be seated. And you begin to share with them the message that is so valuable for them to hear right now. It's a message that takes your years of experience, your passion for your work, and the knowing that has come to you in the face of so many challenges along the way of what they need from you right now. And what is the one word that is the theme for what you want to share with them? The word that was perhaps your word for the year, or something new that has cropped up over these last months, or that you've discovered new things about yourself, your business, your community, or something that is at the core of your work right now today that matters to every person in this room. Standing there in front of them, turn to the whiteboard that is right behind you and grab your favorite color marker and go ahead and write your word on the board in big, bold letters, letter by letter, emphasizing each letter as you write it in the best, most precise handwriting that you possess. Now, turning back to them, you begin to share with them a powerful message, giving them hope and faith in a better today and an even better tomorrow. You have fully gotten not only their attention, but oh my gosh, the light in their eyes confirms you have touched the core of them with what you are saying and sharing. And after a pleasant couple of hours or so of your sharing and their sharing in return what matters most to them right now, it's time for you to leave. You thank them with all your heart and you wish them well. You may even give a hug or two as you're heading out towards the door. Remember that beautiful door that you entered in? Well, now you're heading out. You wave goodbye as you exit the room and head towards that long deserved vacation. Knowing when you return from vacation, they're going to be waiting for you in one form or another throughout your life and their life. And in this moment, you realize just how lucky and blessed you are in this life and in the work you have been able to do that allows you to lead with passion and conviction. Because as you realize so clearly in this moment, you are doing this not only for them, but for yourself as well. I just want you to take a few moments to savor this feeling, to think about what that word was that you wrote on the whiteboard, the leaders of your life that you remembered standing in front of that door, and the people in that room, the ones that really stood out for you. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And if you have a few minutes to write about the experience, I think it's always good to help you remember. I also highly encourage you, if you have a piece of paper nearby, at the very least, write down that one word. What was that word? Because it really represents the core of your feeling about leadership right now. So write it down and keep it close to you in the days ahead to really help you to keep the mindfulness of your leadership strengths, because it really does all come down to your strengths as well, to keep them in your heart. Because when we can connect our mind and our heart, it's a powerful thing. And with that, my friends, I want to wrap up this week's podcast. And I am really looking forward to continuing this conversation on leadership in our next podcast. You know, we podcast basically every other week. Dr. Gloria Mealy is going to be my guest, and I've already actually recorded the podcast, so I know it's super good. And we're going to dive even deeper into talking about leadership. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence and the role that it plays and empathy plays in our role as leaders. And she's even going to share with us what freedom means to her. So until then, my friends, I thank you for spending this time with me. Please leave a comment below. Again, if you want to throw an email out to me, I'm always happy to hear from you. As they say, subscribe to our podcast. And yeah, thanks for being part of our community. And I will see you soon. If you're watching me on YouTube, and if you haven't been watching us over on YouTube, we are both on YouTube, as well as the link is below here on in the show notes, and you can learn more about me, my work, etc. at businessvictories.com. And just thank you for being you. All right, take good care.